Welcome back to Respoiled. Today, I have another captivating story to share with you. But before we dive in, if you're new here, I invite you to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications, so you'll never miss out on all of my latest uploads. Now let's get started. In Costa Rica's mountains, a helicopter lands, dropping off a team led by Dr. Morbius at a cave entrance. Morbius, who has a rare blood disease and requires canes to walk, instructs his team to set up a trap they've brought along. He then entices the bats in the cave by raising his bleeding hand, while the team and the pilot flee in fear. The origin of Morbius's story dates back 25 years to Greece, where a young Morbius meets Milo, another boy with the same blood condition, under the care of Dr. Nicholas. Milo's medical device malfunctions, causing him to faint, but Morbius swiftly repairs it using a spring from his pen, reviving Milo instantly. Impressed by Morbius' intellect, Nicholas arranges for him to attend an exclusive school in New York, but Morbius agrees only after Nicholas promises to care for Milo. Before departing, Morbius pens a letter to Milo, pledging to find a cure for their condition. Unfortunately, the letter falls into the hands of some unkind students from a nearby school who mock Milo. They proceed to taunt and assault him until Nicholas intervenes, preventing further harm and urging Milo to avoid seeking retribution. Morbius earns his doctoral degree at 19 and later develops artificial blood that saves countless lives. Despite being offered the Nobel Prize by the King of Sweden, he declines, citing that the discovery was accidental while seeking a cure for his own illness. In the present, Morbius returns to work at the hospital and is approached by his colleague, Dr. Martine, for a private conversation. While conducting tests, Martine questions Morbius about his project involving the fusion of human and bad DNA, funded by Milo. Initially feigning ignorance, Morbius is confronted by Martine, who reveals his collection of Colombian bats, prompting him to confess. Believing the unique saliva of these blood-feeding mammals could hold the key to curing his ailment, Morbius proceeds despite Martine's ethical concerns. A test on a lab rat ends tragically with its demise. As a patient suffers a seizure, they are compelled to induce a coma to avert a potential stroke. Martine is astonished to find the rat exhibiting signs of life upon re-examination, indicating the serum's efficacy. Later, Morbius meets Milo to share the breakthrough and request additional funds. Due to the experiment's illegality, it must be conducted in international waters, prompting Milo to offer financial support. Subsequently, Morbius brings Martine along on the voyage to international waters. Morbius develops an advanced serum, which Martine administers into his spine and secures him as his body convulses. During their interaction, a crew member interrupts them, leading to Morbius breaking free amidst Martine's confrontation. Inside the isolation room, they witness Morbius crawling on the ceiling with a monstrous visage. Despite Martine's pleas, Morbius swiftly overpowers the guard and feeds on him. The ship's alarm triggers, causing Morbius intense discomfort due to his heightened senses, leading him to damage the isolation room in panic. As security personnel arrive, Martine attempts to intervene but is knocked unconscious. Seizing the opportunity, Morbius escapes from the room, showcasing his newfound vampiric abilities by effortlessly dispatching the guards. Despite the survivors' attempts to flee and lock the door, Morbius, now immensely strong, easily smashes it open. He resumes crawling on the ceiling, methodically capturing and dispatching the guards one by one. With the crew eliminated and his hunger satiated, Morbius reverts to his human form and rushes to examine himself in the mirror, confirming his cure. He ensures Martine's safety and reviews the surveillance footage, feeling disturbed by his actions and vomiting in response. Subsequently, he sends a distress signal, consumes the serums, and leaps into the ocean. The following day, FBI agents arrive to investigate, finding the security recordings erased and Martine still unconscious. The case gains media attention, catching the notice of Nicholas and Milo. Returning to the hospital, Morbius tends to his patients before retreating to his lab to store the serums. As his condition deteriorates once more, he resorts to drinking the artificial blood from the fridge to sustain himself without harming others. He proceeds to test his newfound abilities: speed, athleticism, climbing prowess, and agility. Upon entering the tank with the bats, they fly around him respectfully, fostering a sense of kinship. Morbius also discovers he's acquired echolocation like a bat, testing it by tossing and catching a ball with his eyes closed. Unfortunately, these powers wane without feeding. Artificial blood stabilizes him for 6 hours, but the duration shortens, necessitating real blood. To explore this further, he isolates himself in a room. Later, Milo finds him weak, and Morbius communicates his need for blood by writing on the glass. Milo brings him blood bags, and upon feeding, Morbius regains strength, astonishing Milo. Despite Milo's desire for the cure, Morbius warns him it's a curse, refusing to inject him. As Martine awakens, FBI agents present her with unsettling images from the ship. Martine feigns amnesia about the previous night's events. Later, a nurse working late notices erratic lights and attempts to flee but falls victim to a vampiric creature. Morbius, surprised by the discovery of the body, questions his involvement. Fearing his own sanity, he grabs fake blood bags from the lab before encountering FBI agents who question him about the experiments and move to arrest him. Morbius swiftly subdues them, escaping upstairs while dodging police gunfire. On the hospital roof, he senses unusual airflow from the AC unit before being apprehended by the agents. In detention, he calculates that his feeding intervals have reduced from 6 to 4 hours and 22 minutes. In the interrogation room, Morbius is handcuffed to the table while agents bring in holy water as precaution. They accuse him of the ship and nurse deaths, but Morbius, struggling to control himself, pleads for his fake blood bags. Dismissed, he's returned to his cell. Later, Milo visits, offering support and leaving artificial blood. Morbius, realizing Milo's deceit after finding his forgotten cane, discovers Milo injected himself with the serum and killed the nurse. Enraged, Morbius drinks the blood, transforming and escaping through the window. Using echolocation, he hears Milo attacking a newspaper stand owner and confronts him. Milo sees their powers as freedom, initiating a fight. Their battle leads to a subway station, inciting panic among citizens. After trading blows, Milo celebrates their evolution, but Morbius vows to find a solution. Police arrive to arrest them, but Milo swiftly eliminates them, reveling in victory. Milo attacks Morbius again as a train approaches. Sensing the train's speed, Morbius leaps in front, flying through the tunnels to escape. The next day, Martine senses someone tailing her in the city and seeks refuge in a shop, losing the agent in the crowd. On the bus, she reads about Morbius being wanted, only for him to appear behind her. She trusts his claim about Milo and they disembark at a cafe. Overhearing criminals mention a lab, Morbius asks Martine for items before trailing them. After consuming the artificial blood from Martine, Morbius locates the thugs inside a lab where they forge money. Politely requesting ownership of the lab, Morbius faces a thug wielding a knife, promptly disabling him and intimidating the others, adopting the moniker Venom. Utilizing components from the printing machines, Morbius crafts tools to work on a cure for vampirism. Meanwhile, Milo prepares for a night out, dancing in his apartment before heading to a nightclub. There, he flirts with a woman, but a rival intervenes, prompting Milo to leave peacefully. However, he waits outside and eliminates the rival and his friends. Shortly after, Martine visits Morbius' hospital lab and encounters Milo inquiring about his friend. Martine insists she doesn't know Morbius' whereabouts and persuades him to leave without any trouble. Meanwhile, FBI agents raid Martine's residence, but both she and her cat are absent. Martine is revealed to be hiding with Morbius at the new lab, accompanied by her cat. While attending to her pet, she accidentally cuts her finger, prompting Morbius to resist the temptation of her blood scent. Later, they share a moment on the rooftop and share a kiss, oblivious to Milo observing them from a distance. The following day, FBI agents discover the deceased individuals outside the bar and identify Milo as the perpetrator through security footage. Nicholas, seeing the news update, confronts Milo, urging him to cease his killings. Disgusted by Nicholas's sympathy, Milo attacks him, inflicting serious injuries. Meanwhile, Morbius successfully develops an antibody that specifically targets vampiric physiology. He prepares 2 bottles, one for Milo and another for Martine, to be utilized when necessary. Suddenly, he receives a call from Nicholas, urgently requesting his aid, prompting him to rush to Milo's apartment. Sadly, Nicholas only pleads with Morbius to stop Milo before passing away. Concurrently, Milo abducts Martine and coerces her to utter Morbius' name until he detects it using his abilities. Utilizing echolocation, Morbius locates Martine's whereabouts and flies across the city to find her on a rooftop, injured by Milo. Despite Martine's wish for Morbius to feed on her to end her suffering, Morbius kisses her, inadvertently transferring a drop of his blood into her mouth. Martine then succumbs to her injuries, prompting Morbius to give in to his rage and feed on her. Subsequently, Milo emerges on the rooftop, leading Morbius to leap at him, resulting in both plummeting over the edge. While falling, the vampires continue their assault, crashing through a building multiple times before resuming their descent. Milo delivers a forceful blow to Morbius, causing him to land on a platform, where Milo seizes him by the leg and hurls him against a luminous sign. As Morbius falls again, Milo leaps onto him, dragging him against a building before crashing onto the street, plunging through the pavement and into a tunnel. While Milo cackles maniacally, Morbius emits a powerful echolocation wave through the tunnel with his voice, then through the water with his hand. Suddenly, an army of bats arrives to aid Morbius, and when Milo attempts to attack him with a metal rod, Morbius commands the bats to restrain him. Seizing the opportunity, Morbius administers the antibody to Milo, causing him to revert to his human form, apologize, and succumb to death. Just as the FBI agents and police arrive, Morbius conceals himself among the bats and safely exits the tunnel. Meanwhile, on the rooftop, Martine awakens and discloses her vampiric nature. Later on, Spider-Man's enemy, Vulture, is mysteriously transported to the local prison from another universe. Unrecognized, he is promptly released by the police and swiftly reassembles his villainous attire before seeking an alliance with Morbius. Don't forget to like, subscribe and enable notifications for more content like this. Thank you for watching.